Welcome to another episode of the Animoguls. Today we're going to be discussing brunettes in the animated world, of the male variety. I'm Megabucks.
And I'm Tycoon, coming to you live and direct. First, we're going to be discussing the male protagonist from Snow White, aka the Prince.
Not to be confused with the other prince from Cinderella, who coincidentally looks exactly like him, except one of them has black hair. One of them has dark brown hair, which doesn't make for much of a difference. They both dress really girly. I would even venture to say that the prince from Snow White grew up to become the prince from Cinderella 3 years later. You know, his hair darkened out a bit, he got slightly more muscular, there's still a little bit of baby fat hanging around, but he's getting butch. He's looking for a girl. God knows what happened to Snow White. I think they finally realized that she was underage and they didn't marry. Hopefully that's what happened. But, we're really here to talk about hair. So let's focus on that.
Prince Charming, and I think that's his name, I don't know if that's his legal name. He has a bit of a tousled look. A little bit of hair on the forehead. He's not rocking too much stubble, if any. And maybe that's because he's incapable of growth at this stage in his life. Maybe he hasn't hit puberty yet. So he's still going with that mushroom cut. Well, that's probably something he would desire at some point in his life.
I hope not. But moving on to another brunette, let's talk about Aladdin for a bit. He's got this ragged street rat look. He's got nice thick hair. And, it's thick, it's black.
Yeah, Aladdin's not gonna have to worry about having a receding hairline for a really long time. Not to mention that he's got these thick, dark, expressive eyebrows.
With Shang, you can really see the toll the war took on him. He's got a widow's peak anyway, and the receding hairline from the sides, that's not a good thing. But luckily for him, Mulan isn't into the physical, and, Shang's ripped otherwise, so he's good to go. And, he's got those slashing cheekbones going on.
I think Tarzan's got enough hair on his head to go around. I say he should start a hair charity or loan out some of his dreads to people in need. Mr. Bubbles from Lilo and Stitch and Jasmine's father, the Sultan, they'll probably be first in line to receive handouts from Tarzan.
Absolutely, Tycoon. And, the funny thing about Tarzan is that Tarzan and the Beast both have these flowing locks. But Tarzan's got these, butch dreadlocks, whereas the Beast's got the soft, fluffy, to the point where he almost looks like a little pet.
It makes sense to me because the Beast, he's led a privileged life. And yes, he turned into a beast, but when he turned into a human, he was thinking, man, I can't wait to get out of these digs. I'm so glad that the only hair I have now is on my head, so I really need to take care of it. And he probably asked Lumiere and Mrs. Potts to go out and get him some Dove shampoo, really work that, lather that into his hair, and there you go, boom, there's the result.
Now, whether Belle is digging his new hairstyle or telling him to snip, 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 we don't know. We don't actually know their personal life.
I mean, I don't know. They might just break up over this. Clearly, the Beast is very possessive about his hair routine. Maybe if he gets too into his looks again, Belle will ask for a divorce. Because there's no difference between him and the Gaston guy anymore.
I was going to venture to say that he and Belle share the same hair care routine. I mean, I swear, they both have the same ponytail thing going on at the end. Belle sometimes puts it up in a bun to give the Beast his space, She doesn't want to take his style. But let's move on to Prince Naveen from The Princess and the Frog. He's got this nice short hairstyle. You can see the princely heritage there, but it's also side-swept. His bangs popping out here and there to show that he's carefree. What do you think of his hair, Tycoon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly drawn to Prince Naveen's hair. It's not bad. It's actually not very princely. For one, I don't think he should have those tendrils out of place. I can see why he ran away from home. Because maybe he wanted to be free like Elsa from Frozen. He also used to have really crimped and kept hair, and then he decided to go with the wind, I guess.
For me, it's like you can see from the back of his head that his hair is not that long. So he's got the side-swept look, he's a playboy prince. He's not the heir, he's the spare kind of deal. That's the vibe Prince Naveen gives off.
Yeah, I think Cinderella's prince looks very princely. He has really princely hair. Not a hair out of place. He doesn't have a shaggy beard going on. He knows that he has to keep up to his princely duties. Maintain a sort of aristocratic, I'm better than you image. But he has really thin eyebrows, and that kind of works against him. We're lucky that Prince Erica, the little mermaid, he got you covered.
So true. Prince Eric definitely uses hair gel. And he has to use a lot of gel if he's going to be able to compete with Ariel's side swoop. I mean, Ariel's got the upper hand. She's got water to hold up her incredibly complex hairdo. So, what Prince Eric does is he takes hair gel and slathers it on liberally. He lives on land. He can't make it defy gravity. So he's got the swoop hair curl thing going on, like, whew. So, I mean, moving on, when I talk about Flynn Rider for a bit, Flynn's got an interesting hairstyle.
Yeah, when I first watched the trailer for Tangled, I was like, what is going on with Flynn Rider's hair? But it really suits his character. He's sort of this carefree, run-of-the-mill, going where the wind takes him sort of dude. And I think his hair suits him. I wouldn't like him to have too short hair. I think it's good he has this goatee thing going on. Much like Phoebus from Hunchback of the Notre Dame, I think he broke the mold when it comes to Disney males and their facial hair.
Yeah, he was a trendsetter for sure, a forgotten trendsetter. But, why don't we talk about sideburns for a bit? Which Disney male brunette has the biggest sideburns? The father characters usually have a nice bushy sideburn thing going on. You'd think Gaston of Beauty and the Beast would have a nice big one, but no, it's very trimmed back. He's got the receding hairline, but he's not letting it bother him because Gaston is the ultimate Dove self-esteem ad.
Totally agree. And I mean, King Triton, on another note, he's not a brunette, but I think he might have been in the past. I don't know if he dyes his hair white now or what.
Well, according to Ariel's Adventure 3, or whatever the hell they called it, he was also supposed to be a redhead. And he was supposed to be the same shade as his wife, Athena. The funny thing is that Ariel herself does not have that same shade, which is very, very weird.
Going back to the brunettes, let's talk a little bit about Gaston's ponytail. He wore it low. He didn't have a high ponytail. Megabucks, what do you think about that?
I think that Gaston's low ponytail shows he thinks he's perfect the way he is. It's simple but effective. Gaston spends most of his time working out. He eats a dozen eggs, 3 dozen eggs, 5 dozen eggs. He's gobbling them up. And the more Gaston eats, the less time he needs to hear about his hair. I mean, because he's eating all these eggs, he's getting lots of protein, so his hair's growing thick. You don't see his hairline showing. So hopefully, he's good. He won't age prematurely. But I'd really need to see Gaston's parents to really determine what's going on with his hair.
Yeah, speaking of parents, like Tarzan's parents, they were both brunette. So it was pretty obvious he was going to be a brunette as well. But Ariel's hair color, it's kind of confusing to me.
Yeah, it actually makes no sense. They could have at least had Ariel's mother have the same shade to make us understand where it came from. But Ariel's mom and Ariel's dad both have the same, icky browny red shade, the color of dried blood, which is just not attractive. Ariel's got this nice bright cherry tomato red thing, but we're not going to talk about redheads right now. It's hard not to, but we're not. So I'm not going to talk about them anymore. Tycoon, don't tempt me.
Well, not to worry, because our redhead session is coming up next on the Animoguls.